Hello, it's Charles Scoville, your Golden Harvest agronomist with your Focus Friday here on September the 29th, end of September. And I want to talk a little bit about ear molds this week. Starting to see some of those out there. Give you a little bit of detail on what the colors mean on those different molds you might be seeing out there. Want to talk a little bit about the nitrogen loss that we're seeing out in corn and what that might mean, and also what I'm calling G by E by M trials. Some kind of cool stuff that we're doing this year, and how that might affect your hybrid selection this next year and how you manage those hybrids. But let's jump right into a quick update on heat units. So the good news is a little bit warmer this past week. So though we were 10 to 12 days behind, we gained a day on that. So we're still behind, but we're gaining on it. I'm really looking forward to this next week as we're talking 3 or 4 days of 80-degree temperatures and sunshine. And I think by the end of next week, we'll have an even better report on our progress towards getting this crop to maturity. I got to believe we're going to see some soybeans harvested next week across the state, other than just the dipping in a little bit here and there that we've seen so far. We talk about ear molds. So, the one that I'm seeing the most out here right now is actually gibberella ear rot. That's the ear rot where you see kind of that pinkish mold at the tip of that ear. And that is the ear mold that we see in cool, wet weathers. We had a fair amount of that here. We're going to see those silks kind of stick to the end of that. And it is going to produce mycotoxins. Most common is DON, which can affect livestock, especially swine. So keep our eye out for that. Make sure that we use the combine to clean as much of that up as we can, and then get it dried and stored so we don't let it sit there and stay moist. But other ear rots that certainly can be found out there this year, might see a little bit of diplodia. That's more of that white type mold at the base of the ear, and sometimes can cover the entire ear. And that also likes some cooler, wetter types of conditions. And so the good news is that's really not known to cause any harmful mycotoxins, but again, get that dry as quick as we can out there. Ones we're probably not going to see as much of this year, Fusarium, and that can occur under most any conditions. And we do want to keep our eye on that because that can cause some mycotoxins. But typically that's a white to pinkish fungal growth on those kernels, and a little bit of they call it a kind of a starburst symptomology look on that kernel tip there. The one we're probably not going to see this year is aspergillus, and that is kind of that green type of mold that looks horrible out there and can also be toxic to livestock. So we'll have good news not seeing that one here this year anyways. So I want to also, think about part of the reason I was thinking about those ear molds is we always see ear molds worse when we see tip back in corn, because we have a narrower channel at the tip of that ear where the husk can get tight, and that silk can just act as a wick to bring that moisture in and feed those molds and really get that to grow. And part of that, I think, is because we saw more nitrogen loss this year. And everybody I keep talking to says, I did everything I thought right. I applied the nitrogen, even split applied some nitrogen. I did PSNT tests, and when the tests came in, one farmer told me this week that, everything looked good. He may have been a little low, but not enough really to worry about it. But the reality is most of our water, our rain, came late in the season this year. And so even though we were in good shape early on with that nitrogen, we've washed a lot of that out of the soil profile here in the last few months. So I've been seeing that V-shaped lesion of what's certainly obviously nitrogen loss on those leaves. And it, of course, starts at the bottom of the plant, works its way up. And I get really worried when we see it at the ear leaf or higher. And I've been seeing some of that sitting at that ear leaf and even one or two leaves above the ear with that V-shaped lesion. So That's going to cause tip back on those ears, and that's going to cause certainly potentially a little bit yield loss in those fields. So take a minute, evaluate those fields, look for that V shape, and understand that some of those things were truly just beyond our control this year. Last thing I want to talk about is our G by E by M trials. That is genetics by environment by management. So we did some pretty thorough trials in coordination with AgroLiquid Fertilizer this year. We took 5 of our key and mainly new hybrids in that 97 to 103 day range, and we put them at 4 different types of treatments. So we did 2 treatments at 32,000, one with a standard fertility and the other one with enhanced fertility. And then we tried to push the envelope and we did 2 treatments at 42,000 plants per acre. Again, one at standard and one at enhanced. And then we replicated all of that 3 times across the plot. So we're going to have a pretty robust data set here come harvest. What we really want to find out, though, is if we take certain genetics and manage them differently, can we get different results? It's been really interesting pulling ears, taking photos, getting some preliminary data, because there are some hybrids that work really well at that standard treatment and maybe don't respond quite as well to pushing that to 42,000 even under enhanced treatment. And there's some other hybrids in there that just thrive when we give them that enhanced treatment. And initial yield estimates look to be that they're going to more than pay on the return on investment on the increased fertility. In fact, we had more nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium out there. We played with some calcium, boron, and humic. We even did a couple shots of fungicide at V5 and R1, and added fulvic and sugar, and we really tried everything we could do to enhance the yield potential of each of those hybrids, the goal being for us to make the mistakes out here in these trials, so when we talk to our customers about how to manage each of these new hybrids, we can do it with a level of confidence that helps each of you to get the most out of each of those genetics. So really excited about what those trials are going to bring. And again, I'm really excited about the fact that we're going to probably start to see soybean harvest go next week. A good start, and also been nice to see that silage harvest is well underway, and some folks are even done and got that bunk closed up. So again, this is Charles Scoville, your Golden Harvest agronomist, with your Focus Friday here. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.